What's up, gentlemen? Welcome back to the Ask Alpha Millionaire. I don't know what I'm calling this thing. Anyway, what I do know is that today I'm going to be answering exclusively your business questions. I got some more updates. I actually sold my website domain enemy.com. I'm going to tell you about that next time. But today, it's all about you and your business questions. All right. If you have a question for me regarding business or life or my philosophy on anything, down below, start it with question and then ask your question. Every single week, we are going to get to your question. Something else I'm going to get to every single week is giving you a deal. All right. This week's Empire deal is the same as last week. All right. You guys slept on this deal a little bit, and I need you to check it out. For $20, you're going to get all three of these amazing shampoos from Pete and Pedro. The reason is because I want you to try what it's like using a high-quality shampoo without all the crap and toxic nonsense that you are currently using on your shampoo. You're going to get Hydrate. It's packed with argan oil. It's going to smooth, it's going to strengthen, it's going to hydrate your hair. We got the Classic Clean, a peppermint tea tree. Amazing, soothing, incredible. Or the Masculine Bourbon. All three of these. You're getting all three of them. Give them away as gifts. Keep them for yourself. Use them, try them, see what you love, and then you're going to be back to buy more, which is why I'm doing this deal. $20 down below. If you want to support me, your amazing hair, and this channel, hit the link. Do not wait. $20, 3 shampoos. Literally, you're saving like 30 bucks. It's a huge no-brainer. All right. So today I want to talk about your questions, all right? Here we go. First one is about bankruptcy, actually. Something that I am very, very familiar with, and something that I feel was kind of like the starting point for me setting down the burden, setting down the weight, and allowing me to move on, wiping the slate clean from a business that failed mega monstrously bad. All right, so the question comes from our friend Average to Apex. He says, financing and bankruptcy. I watched your previous videos about your bankruptcy. Was it manageable and as scary as people make it sound? Oh, really? People make it sound scary, do they? I have big ideas and I want to start trying business ideas, but I'm honestly scared of failure like bankruptcy. Coming from a poor family, it terrifies me. So here's the deal. I don't want any of you not doing something because you're afraid of failure. Right now, there's calculated risks and then there's wild, like ridiculous risks that you shouldn't be taking. So for me, the bankruptcy happened because I started a business and I got into massive debt. And the reason wasn't because I was overspending. It was because I was basically trying to make this business work. I had over $500,000 worth of debt. Everything from a lease, a physical location, equipment leases, auto lease. We had a big truck with like a big logo on it. I was taking money off my credit cards by the time that business didn't work. I had tons of expenses. And so basically when I decided to shut that business down, I didn't have any other means, right? I was $500,000 in debt, and it was one of the worst emotionally disturbing times or destructive times in my life. When you have a bunch of debt, it is, as you guys know, that have a lot of debt, and it might be $5,000, might be a lot of debt to you, or $10,000, right? Anytime you have a lot of debt, it is literally like you are carrying around a 1,000-pound gorilla on your back. It is horrible. It is all-consuming, and it is the only thing that you think about, right, all the time, especially when you can't pay your bills. That makes it even worse. And so for me, when I decided to shut my business down, there was no like repaying this $500,000. I didn't have a job. At the time, I filed bankruptcy, and the way that they do it basically is they'll look at all your expenses, all your debt, and how much you make, all right? And then they'll basically do like a means test. At the time, I think it averaged, I was making like $100 a month, right? And I had $500,000 in debt. Now, the truth is I had a business partner, and so the trick is we both owed this money. It's not like I owe $250, she owes $250. No, we both were co-signers on these loans and these things that we did. And it was simply because we were trying to get a business to work, all right? It didn't work. Combine that with the fact that one of our business partners or our investors was actually starting to sue my business partner. It became just a disaster. And we decided, you know what? We can't do this. We're going to shut down. We're going to walk away. The worst part about that time, the worst part about that situation for me, it wasn't the fact that I tried something and failed, it was that I didn't know what my North Star looked like anymore. I didn't have a plan B. I'm the type of entrepreneur that I'm plan A all the time. And until you stop me, I'm going to keep going. If I could have sold a kidney, or if there was any way that I could have funded this business to try to make it work any longer, just a little longer, a week longer, I would have done it. I was broke, I was destitute, I had gone to friends and asked them for loans, like I was ruined. And so when I filed bankruptcy, it was a very easy decision. I was done. I didn't know what I was going to do next, and I was completely broke, and I had a lot of things that I was personally liable for. And so when I filed bankruptcy, it was one of the worst parts about, if I'm being honest, filing bankruptcy is having to basically, you have to let people know that you owe money to, or that you think might come after you for money. As a creditor, you've got to let them know, hey, I'm filing bankruptcy, and if you want to basically stand up and say that you've got a claim, or that I owe you money, and that your debt that I owe you shouldn't be eliminated, you need to show up to the court date. So I was worried that certain people, some of my investors, because I had to list like all of my investors in that business that failed, and I had like 5 or 6 investors, one of which was like my best friend. I have since paid my best friend back because it was the right thing to do. But you have to list these people, and you've got to tell them, hey, I'm going to be filing bankruptcy. Nobody showed up for me, but it was scary. One of the things I also had to do was basically let my ex-girlfriend know that I was filing bankruptcy, because she was a co-signer on a rooms to go account that basically I stopped paying. When I was broke, I'm done. I can't pay any of these bills anymore. Like, I'm completely and utterly destroyed financially. And so was it scary? No, it wasn't scary. Honestly, that was a point at which I can look at when everything started to get better after that point. When I filed bankruptcy and when it got discharged and dismissed, it was like I said, a 1,000-pound gorilla I was setting down. And I decided from that point, I would never be in a position that I would get into financial trouble again. If I can't afford to buy something or pay cash, I can't afford it. All right? Now, that's still to this day how I operate my businesses. That's still to this day how I operate my life. Even though, it may look like I live a lavish lifestyle and I do things, crazy things like build an expensive house and stuff like that, I do that because I can afford it, right? And I live below my means. And so I just decided I would never get into financial hardship again. But it was embarrassing. It was embarrassing filing bankruptcy. But do not allow the potential thought of bankruptcy being the reason you don't try to start something. All right? You can do it, lower risk, you can do it, and mitigate some of the potential downside, but don't let that be the thing that holds you back. Because if it is, you are totally missing out on potential amazingness. Nothing great was ever accomplished because it was easy, right? Or guaranteed, right? If it was guaranteed that you were going to be successful, everybody would go out and do whatever they wanted to do, right? It's going to take you pushing down the fear, quieting the noises, the voices, and the nonsense, and just going after it. Thank you for the question. Bankruptcy, it was hard, it was emotional, but it was one of the best things that ever happened. The next question comes from our friend, Give It All to Lose It All. He says, should you date in your 20s or just go head to paper and just grind and wait? I think you can date. I think this is craziness. I think that in your 20s, you got to date right now. I think there comes a point at which if you can't afford to date, then you probably need to acknowledge that. But, I think trying to wait and be like, oh no, I'm not going to date ever again, until I'm that's ridiculous. All right. When I honestly got together with my wife, it was one of the greatest things ever for me professionally because I stopped chasing, I stopped looking. When I was single, it was I was a little bit of a disaster because, it's all consuming a lot of times, or at least it was for me, right? I think about it all the time. I started doing some dating apps, and it was I was thinking about it. And when you take that off the table and you know that you've got somebody at home, and the other thing is, when you find the right person, they are your cheerleader, they're your support team, and they're somebody that you can lean on when things get hard emotionally. But for me, my wife, she, dated me all through my bankruptcy. And, for me, it was a little bit embarrassing if I'm being honest. Like, she always made more money than me for the first, like, I don't know, probably 12 years of our relationship. She made, maybe not 12, but like it was like 10 years. She made, more money than me because I was an entrepreneur. I was struggling and I was very proud. I would never ask her for anything. And so I would rather, work at the golf course, do the things I need to do in order to basically put food on the table and give her money. But yeah, I mean, I guess if you can handle it, and by handle it, I mean, you're not going out and doing stupid things. You're not getting wasted drunk. You're not putting yourself in a potentially dangerous position, sleeping with people you shouldn't be sleeping with, potentially getting somebody pregnant. Like, these are things you need to really, pull back on and make sure that it doesn't happen, because those things can totally derail the rest of your life and your future. I'm not saying that if you get somebody pregnant that you don't want to get pregnant, that you can't overcome the situation, but I expect you to be involved and I expect you to support this person that you created or helped created and not be a scumbag and just be like, deuces, I'm out, right? You got to think about it. And so I think dating is fine in your 20s. I think it's natural, it's normal, and I think it's important, right? Because if you're not, like, what is the alternative, I guess? Like, trying to be like a monk, or are you going to be like knee deep, head deep in like a bunch of porn? Like, I don't know. But I would definitely consider it, but do it responsibly, if that makes sense. The next question comes from our friend Tech News. And remember, guys, if you've got a question, a business question or a life question, down below, start it with a question and ask it. Each week, I'm going to get to some of your questions. This is a great question. If you had to restart and begin a new business, what would you do? Would you use AI? Ooh. I probably should have thought about this question a lot more than just what I'm about to give you. But if I were to start a new business now, what I know, if I'm being honest, okay, AI is awesome, and there's definitely a time and a place. AI is coming to take a lot of your jobs. It's basically going to eat a lot of lunches. But for me, I am not like super tech savvy. I do use AI on a daily basis. I think we all probably should, or start to learn it. But no, my business would not rely on AI. It would actually go opposite. It would be like the most non-AI businesses I could possibly, embark on. What I love and the idea of is honestly creating a handyman business for my local area. I've also thought about how I could basically build that business and then be the person that just markets it and then expand it and then basically create like a franchise out of it. Like, that's what I would do. Like, everybody, once you reach a certain age and you're a homeowner or you live in a community, everybody needs a handyman or somebody that can do little small odd jobs, whether or not it's repair a window, fix an AC unit, change out a hot water heater, put a shingle on a house, like pressure wash, paint, like whatever, right? I would be that guy that would connect people, right? I love this idea because there's a huge demand for handymen that don't look like drug addicts, all right? That you can trust, that when these guys show up, they look polished, they look presentable. You could basically market it with street signs. You could get into these like small, local community Facebook groups and advertise there and market it. And the other thing with handyman services is that referrals are going to come like crazy, because everybody that I know always is like, hey, do you know a handyman? Do you have somebody that you could do this or do that? Like, it's an untapped market and somebody could do it big. That's what I would do, honestly. I also, if I had to start over, another idea or something that I still love that I would probably do again is something in hair, right? I love hair. I started cutting my own hair when I was like 5 years old. I love cutting hair, right? I would probably go into that direction, maybe open a salon and try to franchise, multiple salons. Salons, can be done really well. They can be very, very profitable, and you can make some great money. I would not open a barbershop though, because barbershops are not the same level in terms of, average, ticket price. Also, the lifetime value of this customer. And the other reason why hair is great is that it's recession proof, right? Women they would rather not eat than have effed up hair. If they're gray, they're coming in every 2 weeks to get their roots touched up. Now, in an economy, if it's bad, what happens is they will pull back on the number of services that they do, but they still show up, right? And so I would go into the hair industry. Once again, I say AI is never going to cut your hair. It might. I mean, there are robots that'll probably do it, but not as likely, right? And then I'd probably try to parlay that into some type of like med spa where I'm also doing like Botox and some of these other like procedures. I think there's still like a big market for that. And I see it at the salon. I see what people are willing to spend to be beautiful, and it's not bad, meaning like it's a lot of money. The next question is an incredible question from our friend Simi G6472. He says, I'm working towards leaving my 9-to-5 while moving my focus towards my digital marketing business that I've started. Good for you. I'm proud of you. This is awesome. While I do feel confident in delivering results, I'm not the best speaking figure or my voice for my own branding. In your opinion, is it better for me to hire a visually charismatic person or dedicate time into changing that about myself? So this is such a good question, right? Because I think a lot of people fall into this trap where they don't love themselves on video, or they just don't feel comfortable with that, right? When I started making videos, I didn't feel comfortable with it, but over time, you do get better. It gets easier, I should say. Maybe you're never comfortable with it, but it gets easier. So I think it really depends. If you're talking about needing somebody to basically go out and sell, and you are not a great salesperson, I think it is a wise decision to basically team up with or partner with somebody or hire somebody. Partnering is a little bit tricky, especially, given the fact that you haven't really started the business. I think hiring somebody, maybe making it like, percentage commission based or something like that, that basically their job is to sell, right? High ticket sales. That's essentially what it is. There are people out there that are really great at selling and are very comfortable with it. And if you are not somebody that is comfortable selling or really selling yourself or your service, then it's probably a good idea to have somebody else do it. With that being said, though, I really feel like it's important for everybody to get as comfortable as they can talking about pitching and really, making videos of themselves. And so here's a little homework assignment that I actually gave the people in the White Label Empire. For 7 days, I want you to record yourself and make a video talking to your phone, all right? Here's how it's gonna look. Something simple, right? I don't even care what you say, but it's just about working that muscle and getting used to it, all right? So what I want you to do for the next 7 days, if you wanna get better at this and get more comfortable, I want you to grab your camera, put it on, reverse mode, and start talking, whatever. Tell us about your day. What's up, guys? Amarino here. I'm filming a video talking about business, entrepreneurship, and answering questions. Also giving people an incredible deal on 3 amazing shampoos. I hope you're having a great day. Tomorrow, I'm gonna probably relax a little bit. It's Saturday, whatever. I hope you're having a great day. Peace out, bye, I love you, later. All right, something as simple and stupid as that gets you working the muscle, right? Every day, all right? Take a minute and film yourself doing some type of monologue, talking about your business, an elevator pitch, like talking about something you're excited about. The more you do it, the better at it you're gonna get, and the more comfortable you're gonna be, all right? And I really feel like even though you might not be the right salesperson or somebody else might be a better salesperson for this type of service, it doesn't hurt to sharpen your skills when it comes to personal presentation. And so give that a try, but in my opinion, hiring somebody at this point is probably a good idea. The next question is, let's try that again. The next question is from our friend, Michael Ward 89. He says, question, how do you invest? Do you use Robinhood? No, I don't use Robinhood. How do I invest? I invest a few different ways, all right? So nothing I say is meant as advice, whatever. I invest in real estate. I've mentioned that before. I also have a company that I lease one of my real estate investments. I lease to a company called Marietta Wealth Management. Well, they are somebody that I invest money with. All right, I give them X number of dollars per month, and basically they put it to work. They do what they're going to do. I also have something called a defined benefits plan. If you are somebody that is a small business or you work for yourself, I would definitely ask your financial advisor or accountant about a defined benefits plan. A defined benefits plan basically is like a pension plan that you set up through your company for you. All right. And so the interesting thing is that you can actually match what your company puts in, and you can put away like literally like up to like $175,000 a year. So like that's something that you definitely need to consider. I also have a 401k. I also, what else do I have? Do I have something else? I have some businesses. I also invest in some other businesses. I actually right now am considering an investment. Somebody that I know came to me and he's like, hey, he already has a successful business, does about $1 million a year. On that, he's making like 35% profit. So on that million, he's making like $350,000 a year. He came to me and said, hey, I think I want to expand. Are you interested in being my partner? And so it is not internet-based. It is actually local here, close to me, on the Marietta Square. I own a salon on the square, and so it's somewhere that I can get to really quickly. And I would be I wouldn't have like anything to do with it in terms of daily operation. I would simply basically be just a investor. And so I am somebody who is a fan of diversification in terms of my income streams, but also where I put money and how I invest. And so that's how I invest. I don't use any like apps. I have, some accounts, but typically I've got people that are, kind of managing that for me. I do and have picked a few stocks over the years just because I believe in the product or I believe in the company. I've got, some NVIDIA. I've got, I bought Shopify a long time ago. What else? There's a Trade Desk. I've bought some individual stocks, but typically I will go to my person that I work with and say, hey, I'd like to put, 10 grand, I would like 10 grand to be bought for, whatever. I actually think that investing is something that is kind of a big topic that I would like to talk a little bit more in depth about and maybe actually show you kind of like the breakdown maybe. I don't know. Is that a bad idea? Should I show you like what I have where? I don't know. That might be a bad idea. Down below, if you want to know like, hey, let's talk about investing, just say, let's talk more about investing, Alpha. Like because here's the thing. And the reason why, like, okay, so I wish, oh God, I wish I understood investing better. I wish I started learning about investing sooner. And that's one of the downsides and the worst things about growing up without financially successful people around you and growing up kind of like poor or blue collar is that you never learn those lessons, or you're never educated about money other than the fact that you just don't have enough. And that's kind of for me, like it was like seeing money was kind of like a dirty word. Growing up, it was a dirty word because I never had enough money. Nobody I knew had enough money. Everybody was kind of like living paycheck to paycheck. And so you never ask the questions. And if you never educate yourself about money, you're going to make really bad financial decisions. You're going to be scared to invest. You're also going to probably, you're going to probably not make the best buying decisions. You're also probably going to live above your means. Like there's all sorts of problems with not understanding and educating yourself about money. And so I feel like it is an important topic. And even though I am a little bit uncomfortable talking about money, I feel like it's probably important that I just share with you my perspective, because there are a lot of people like that would see my portfolio or see that I pay cash for real estate and that I don't have any loans on them, and they would like be like, yo, that is so stupid. Like you're an idiot. But just for me, like I mentioned with my bankruptcy, I am so scared about getting into debt and owing people money. And honestly, like when I first, I bought this building, this was like my first, or my office, this was like my first investment, right? I bought my office. I didn't pay cash for it. I put, like 20% down, and then, I make my payment. Well, I'd see the statement, and every month I'd be like, damn, I'm paying $2,000 in interest or whatever it was, right? knowing that in 5 years, commercial buildings are a little different than residential. Like I was going to have to convert this in 5 years and basically get a new mortgage, which was going to require me basically to do another, like, you know, it was just going to cost more money, more and more money, making somebody else rich. And so I thought, okay, this is how I'm going to take this extra money. All right, I'm going to pay down my real estate, this building. I'm going to pay it down. I'm going to pay it down. I'm going to pay it down. And so that's kind of like how I've done pretty much like all of my early day real estate. It was buy it, you know, have a little bit of money, put down on it, and then start paying it down as quickly as possible so that I'm not making somebody else rich. But a lot of people would say that that's crazy and it's a really stupid way to use your money. For me, I just sleep better. Guys, down below, if you want me to talk more about my personal philosophy and how I invest, please say, tell us more about investing. And just know, like, I'm not some like financial guru by any stretch of any imagination. I just have, you know, tried to learn as I've gone. And, you know, I just know that living below your means is the best thing you can do. Don't get into debt in terms of high interest credit cards. Don't buy shit you don't need, right? Those three things are going to keep you ahead of most people because most people do one, two, or all three of those things. So down below, let me know. Say, yo, investing. Last business question from our friend, Eric Espinosa 7204. He says, what are your recommendations for starting an online business? I was thinking about making one tailored for fitness or yoga or mentorship. All right, so the mentorship game is kind of a scam a little bit, right? There are a lot of people online that, like a tremendous amount of people that are, you know, selling mentorship, or I'm going to teach you how to be a coach or whatever, and they have never done anything other than taking somebody else's course and convince you to buy theirs, all right? I don't love that model unless you do have experience or expertise in a specific skill or area that people find valuable, right? If you can teach somebody how to make more money or get more sex, those two things, you're going to be very, very successful. And so if you do have, you know, experience in something like that, I think, hey, mentorship is, or coaching is a great option. Yoga, not really feeling yoga. I don't know much about yoga. Fitness, I love fitness. In terms of online, I think fitness is always going to be popular. It's always going to be, you know, on trend. Everybody is going to, you know, people always want to know how to get bigger muscles or lose body fat or get six-pack abs, right? And really depending on how you position yourself, what you're offering, fitness can be a very lucrative, you know, sort of online business. And the beautiful thing is that it is scalable. You just need to build your brand, your persona, and, you know, put yourself out there. Really, anything that you decide to do in terms of online business in this world, fitness, yoga, or kind of coaching mentorship, it's going to require you to build you as the brand. All right. It doesn't work just basically starting a business and then thinking you're going to just run ads. You've got to build a brand. A brand is you putting yourself out there and just sharing your thoughts, your experience, connecting with people. And when you do this over time, you will build a following. As you build a following, then these people are going to be willing to buy something that you're selling because they trust you. You know, when I think about me and my journey online, you know, I did videos for 5 years, 2 videos a week, 5 years before I ever really sold anything. 5 years. Now, this was a different time, but you know, it was me just putting stuff out there that I thought was interesting, that I thought was valuable, that I thought people would want to hear about, right? And people learned, people trusted, people were like, yo. And so when I actually launched my business or I did sponsorships, people were like, awesome, like this is great, like I want this or I need this, or, you know, I'm going to buy from you because I trust you. I've built that credibility over time. It's not going to happen in a week or a month, but if you consistently put out content or build your brand, you will eventually get there. But it takes you putting in the time, putting in the work, and doing it consistently and not thinking there's a shortcut, because there isn't. Nothing great was ever accomplished because it was easy or fast. Gentlemen, that is where I'm going to wrap things up. Once again, down below, if you want to grab the amazing Pete and Pedro Empire deal, all 3 of these incredible shampoos for $20, seriously, like seriously. They also make great stocking stuffers. They make great gifts for somebody who has amazing hair, or they make great gifts for yourself. Be selfish, gentlemen. Treat yourself. Also, down below, if you want me to talk about investing, say it. If you have a business question, start it with question and ask it. And next week, I'll tell you a little bit. Should I talk about investing next week or enemy? Either way, you're getting the good stuff. Love you guys. Thanks for watching. And I'll see you next time on the Ask Alpha videos, things of billionaires. I still don't know what to call this thing.